Tengo que hacerles una confesión. Hay un video que grabé durante la pandemia. La verdad, he tenido una dificultad en compartirlo porque habla de algo que para mí fue muy difícil. Hola. ¿Algún día han tenido algún fracaso de cual aprendieron muchísimo?
Yo la verdad no he fracasado.
¡Ay, a poco! ¿En serio?
Ningún fracaso hasta el momento.
Super pro. Recuérdenla. ¿Y ustedes? Creo que van a poder ver un poquito más de por qué es que no quería compartir este video con todos ustedes. La buena noticia es que estoy bien, mejor que nunca en la vida y disfrutando, que es pues lo importante, ¿no? Ahí les va. No sé si saben, pero 60% de los proyectos emprendedores que puede haber en el mundo, pues no terminan bien. Es un tema que es bastante personal para mí. Estábamos en medio de la pandemia. Mi mamá la habían diagnosticado con cáncer. Era un cáncer agresivo. No solo eso, pero también a nivel personal tuve varias cuestiones de salud, una cosa arriba de la otra, la pandemia, etc. Pues, fíjense que yo grabé un blog, y lo grabé y le puse todo mi esfuerzo, pero nunca lo saqué. En el 2013 tuve una idea de crear algo propio, ¿no? Era una idea de poder desarrollar una organización internacional completamente enfocada en lo que era pues nuestra comunidad, la comunidad latinoamericana a nivel mundial. Era cuestión de tratar de poner todo el esfuerzo de mis estudios, de todo lo que había hecho, para el beneficio de la propia comunidad que amaba. Había tenido la oportunidad de viajar por todo el mundo. Había estado en Panamá, República Dominicana, Argentina, Perú, Paraguay. O sea, por todos lados de Latinoamérica. Y obviamente, el bello México, donde es mi familia, ¿no? Y entonces, eso es lo que estaba tratando de lograr. Y después de 10 años, la pandemia trajo todo eso abajo.
One day you have a successful organization that's making waves across not just one, but 10 countries at the same time, collaborating with institutions of higher learning, major organizations in places like Washington, Mexico City, Buenos Aires, and then
in a single week in March this year, 10 times as bad as the worst week of 1982. 10 times.
During the 1982 recession, my parents lost their first home in the United States. This was 10 times worse for me. I was staring at bankruptcy. I was losing my organization. What I worked so hard to build.
Good evening. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. The newest government economic figures out today show that the recession has not found its bottom. President Reagan persists in remaining optimistic.
My fellow Americans, in recent days, all of us have been swamped by a sea of economic statistics. Some good, some bad, and some just plain confusing. Tonight, in homes across this country, unemployment is the problem uppermost on many people's minds. We can do it by slowly but surely working our way back to prosperity that will mean jobs for all who are willing to work and fulfillment for all who still cherish the American dream.
They say forgiveness is giving up the hope that the past can be any different. I don't know how I was going to forgive, how I was going to let go. This had been a lesson that I was told time and again as an entrepreneur would happen to me. But how do you let go and not be hostage to this entire situation? I was trying as hard as I could not to let the circumstances define my future. I didn't want to live in what should have been or what could have been. And yeah, this was real. I was living in historic times. We were living in historic times. Just like the people of the Depression, the Great Depression, just like the people of the 1982 recession. My organization was another picture, like those pictures that we're all so used to seeing now. And the question was, what would come next? How would I get up from this one? Would there be a way out? Honestly, it was difficult. Every time I think about it, I tear up.
The weekly unemployment numbers are in, and they're the biggest ever by far.
3,283,000 Americans filed for unemployment last week.
A health pandemic has become a financial pandemic.
Feels tough. Just crazy. What was even crazier was this.
I would like you to speak to the medical doctors to see if there's any way that you can apply light and heat to cure. And then I see the disinfectant. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection?
So I'm getting onto the airplane, as you can see, and we're going to leave beautiful San Jose, Costa Rica, headed to Panama, and then a short, brief visit to Mexico, and then it's Washington. So we will see you there in the summer. As I think back to last year, it's almost unbelievable. Like it didn't happen. Putting the final touches on what had been a hemispheric effort. Working with world leaders, working with multinational organizations to bring together the best and brightest minds to discuss projects that were selected and invited to the world stage. I had plenty to be excited about. We were about to pull off the most amazing project on a worldwide scale before all of Washington. And these projects would be discussed before world leaders at multinational organizations like the Organization of American States, before embassies. And it was amazing. A remarkable feat because the ideas that we're talking about were amazing. Next level environmental projects to not only help countries like Panama, countries like Mexico, but the entire Americas. We were talking next level engineering projects from minds that were maybe in their teens, maybe a little bit older. Age really doesn't matter because what was being brought together were the projects, the ideas. That's what mattered. The beauty of this whole project was that it didn't matter what country you were from. It didn't matter how old you were. It didn't matter what socioeconomic status you had. If you had an idea, if you had a big mind, a big project, we wanted to hear about it, and we brought the very best to Washington. As I see these pictures, I get goosebumps because they did it. We did it. They prepared at the Library of Congress. They traveled throughout all of Washington, D.C., taking their message of the future, of the possibilities, and of what we could achieve with great vision. And they were listened to. They were heard. They impressed. For those of you watching that have once had a big idea or a big dream to start your own business, to start your own organization, to develop a project that changes the world, what would you do with an opportunity like this? How would you prepare for it? To go on the world stage, to fight for your dreams, to launch those dreams, to actually begin and start grinding out your organization or your idea. The things these next global scholars were able to accomplish were truly remarkable and began to set the stage for something enormously bigger. A worldwide effort. Because all eyes were now on these particular scholars. And the projects ranged from music to the arts to engineering to the sciences. They were diverse. So there we were. And the big question was, what's next? We now had the attention of major world leaders. We now had the attention of entire countries. Well, the plan was to go to San Francisco, Philadelphia, and New York in 2020 after our success in Washington. To not only present these ideas, but to do more and to seek more ideas with all our collaborators, institutions of higher learning, multinational organizations. We had pretty much done the impossible. We were pretty much there. In fact, we were getting attention from major players.
Pienso que este programa que desarrolla Héctor López es sumamente importante para la juventud, sobre todo la juventud latinoamericana, que tantas oportunidades tiene que enfrenta, sobre todo una sociedad como esta, la norteamericana, y donde por muchísimas razones están las mejores universidades del mundo. Yo creo que participar en este programa y lo que está haciendo el NETS es sumamente valorado sobre todo nosotros como embajada creemos que este es un programa acertadísimo que le da oportunidad a jóvenes como ustedes, todos inteligentes, sobresalientes, y que eso es lo que necesita la sociedad latinoamericana en este mundo.
So yeah, we made it pretty far. Unfortunately, we never made it to San Francisco, to Philadelphia, or to New York. They were all planned with huge partners, amazing support from higher education institutions, multinational organizations, Fortune 500 companies. But in 2020, we've all been living this nightmare that for Next has meant a loss of funding, layoffs, and ultimately the loss of our headquarter offices. There's a huge lesson that I learned with the amazing minds that I've had the privilege to work with. When you're faced with the toughest challenges, it always comes down to love, friendship, family, and community. It was tough taking down those letters, but better times are ahead, and dreams and big ideas are always worth fighting for.
Por mucho tiempo dudé y pensé que no sería apto compartir. Pero bueno, estaba logrado. O sea, teníamos apoyándonos universidades, organizaciones, empresas a nivel panamericano. O sea, esto ya estaba ahí, en la cima. Eran unos cuates súper chingones, cabrones, diciendo, esta es una buena idea. Vamos a ver qué piensan los demás.
Yo creo que en la vida sí he fracasado muchas veces, pero lo importante es seguir adelante, con mucha actitud y positiva y pues con ganas de seguir adelante.
Cuando está recién herido y el alcohol no ayuda para olvidarme ya.
Bueno, sí, realmente he tenido algunos fracasos en mi vida, pero me han servido de experiencia para poder mejorar la siguiente parte de mi vida.
Seguimos haciendo preguntas. Aquí está mi mami. Hola, ma. Mi papi. Miyagi. Y Eri. ¿Cómo te sientes de que después de todo este tiempo, ma, se viene a vivir tu hijo a la ciudad?
Primero me infarté, pero me enamoré de Erika, mi nuera hermosa. Y ahorita que te veo, cómo vives aquí, cómo llevan su vida y lo hermoso del lugar, lo moderno, me llena de tranquilidad, me da una alegría enorme.
Todo el mundo quiere saber, ¿cómo estás de salud?
Gracias a Dios, muy bien. Salimos del chequeo de los 6 meses y todo salió muy bien, gracias a Dios.
¿Y tú, pa?
Pues yo bien. Aquí, mira, disfrutando el ambiente. Con toda la mamá. O sea, a toda madre.
¿Y Tiki? ¿Cómo se siente de que me vine a vivir a Ciudad de México?
Feliz, soy la más feliz.
¿Y tú, Wagi? How do you like being in Mexico? I don't want to talk about it right now.
Mira mi cola.
It's too much.